My name is Kari. I am the owner of Anime Twist, and pretty much here at Anime Twist we do everything anime, cosplay, manga, and we do interviews like the one I'm hosting with you now. And that's just pretty much what Anime Twist is all about. And would you be willing to introduce yourself, Mr. Clifford?
Sure. My name is Clifford Chapin. I am a voice actor in the Dallas, Texas region. I have been working with companies like Funimation and Okratron for just a hair over a year now. I got my start in anime with the role of Keita Suibuki on Good Luck Girl Bimogami ga. Soon followed that with Kaito Yashio on Robotics Notes. And then it's slowly for me, but a little bit more rapidly for all of you who are getting the cast announcements and stuff as of late, have built up my resume to include Ichijo Takinagi on Red Data Girl, and Connie Springer on Attack on Titan, which is a pretty exciting one for the fact that it's going to be on television pretty soon, which is kind of really exciting and really, really scary at the same time.
Right.
And then just announced yesterday I play Heracles in Bento, so that's pretty cool too. So.
Awesome. So, for those of you that are listening at home via live stream, if you do have any questions to ask Mr. Clifford, hopefully it's okay if I call you Mr.
You can honestly just call me Cliff or Clifford. That's fine.
Awesome.
And that applies to everyone, everywhere. So.
For those of you that are listening live, if you do have any questions for Cliff, just go ahead and type in your question. It may ask you to sign up on an account, but you don't really have to. You just create a random name and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and get things started. The first question, and I know that this is a very common one for any panel or just interview in general, but how did you get into voice acting?
It's funny because as you said, that's a very common question, and I feel like I always go, I'm going to give a digested answer on this, and then the digested answer I give is completely different than the last digest answer I've given on it.
Right.
So, but my digest answer today is that when I was a little kid, I sort of always had a tendency to mimic sounds and voices and things like that. And I mean, as well as any, 3 to 5 year old can mimic voices. But, and one of my most famous ones amidst my family was that my family had a cat that had diabetes and would get sick all the time, and I used to mimic the sound that it would make when it was getting sick and make my mom freak out because she thought it was going to get sick on a rug. And then she would come running in like, "Where's the cat?" And then I would just laugh like a maniacal little 2-year-old or 3-year-old that I was. And that was sort of my first thing that I would ever say is like, that was when I became a voice actor. But the long and short of it is just that as I grew up, I always just really enjoyed animation and cartoons, and I always thought it was just an awesome medium. And I started realizing that the voices that I hear in one show were voices that I heard from another show. And,
right.
So that's when I started realizing, I'm like, there are people doing this. Like, this is like a thing that's being done by living, breathing people.
Right.
And I just sort of got immersed in it. And I'd always wanted to be involved in the like film or television industry, and I actually went to college to learn like film production, and through that I learned a lot of my acting talent and skills and such, and I kind of just transitioned after a conversation with my dad where he's like, I thought it was weird that you wanted to be a filmmaker because you always liked cartoons. I thought you'd want to do something with cartoons. And I was like, oh, you're right. I've completely made a mistake here. And I was like, all right, I'm going to transition and try and shift my focus to voiceover in something with cartoons, because I don't have the patience to draw animation over and over and over again. So I transitioned to going after voiceover, and I spent a lot of time doing like independent games and booking, I booked commercials and children's storybook apps, for like that are available on iPad or iDevices and stuff. And I got to a pretty good tendency of booking gigs that I was auditioning for, and I was like, I really want to try and do this professionally. And I moved from where I lived at home in Connecticut to Dallas, Texas, and pursued the voiceover market that was here. And in a little less than a year, I managed to get in with Okratron and Funimation, and here we are now, a year later after that. So that is today's digested version of the story.
Well, I mean, I can. That's a far trip.
Mm-hmm.
Do you miss it up where you used to live?
Admittedly, yes. I miss Connecticut a lot, for very many reasons. Aside, that just my family is there and everything, and a lot of my friends that I grew up with. But I miss things like about the seasons, and I miss just the Dallas is very busy.
Yes.
The highways. It's like 4-lane highways everywhere,
and half the year is always almost summer.
Yeah, and then the other half of the year you don't really know what season it is, and neither does Mother Nature, and so it's a completely different animal here, and I do miss home a lot, but I mean I am where I think I need to be right now, and who knows where the wind will take me in the future, but for right now, this is where I'm supposed to be, I think.
Awesome. Well, again, and this is another question that falls under the line, which gets asked a lot via cons or just regular interviews, but what is some advice you can give to our listeners that are interested in becoming a voice actor?
I would say just learn everything that you can. In my years pursuing it, when I first kind of became aware of it, I mean, I listened to every commentary that I could listen to on DVDs. I read every single piece of information I could find on it. And I mean, learn anything you can, and learn it through any means you can. Observation, just by watching how other people are and how they speak and things like that, you gain a lot of. If acting is a practice of creating something authentic and realistic, like that is lifelike, then what better model do you have than real life?
Right.
So go through and pay attention to the way that things speak. And I just want to say, I'm at my apartment right now doing this interview, so if you hear like children screaming in the background, that's totally normal. So just FYI, everybody. But so anyway, the education of it is probably going to be the biggest thing, and learn your trade, learn your talent, and then just go for it. Like get to a point that you're comfortable and you have a thick skin about it, that you're not going to get hurt. Because I feel like that's what a lot of people miss, is they're like, oh, I'm pretty good, and then they go after something, they don't book it, and then they get crushed by that and by the rejection. And rejection is a major part of this job. So just those are sort of my things. Is learn the trade, and then don't take things too personally, I guess.
Right.
So.
I don't know. Like half these questions, I would consider that they would be asked at cons and stuff. But some of them, I don't know if they would be considered. So, are you an anime fan yourself?
That's kind of a difficult question. Because in many ways, yes. Because like, hey, it's my job, so of course I'm a fan of my job. But like, as far as a like devout anime fan, I wouldn't necessarily say I am. I'm more of just a fan of good storytelling.
Right.
You know, so there are some anime that I love very dearly. Such as the Hosoda film Summer Wars is one of my all-time favorite films, probably, because I just think it's just a beautiful story, and so I wouldn't say out of the world of anime, no, I don't think I'm necessarily an anime fan, but I am a fan of very good stories, and I do have a pretty decent number of like anime on my movie case shelf, you know, that these are the stories that I really like. So,
right.
You know, I hope that answered your question.
That answered my question, and you kind of answered the second part to that. Was if so, which ones that you did not work in appealed to you the most, and why?
Well, yeah, like Summer Wars, I think is just a beautiful film. But that's one of the ones where I'm like, I don't know if I would have wanted to work on it because it's such a good story, and I'm very fond of the performances that were done in that film. I don't even as a viewer or a person that works in that industry think I would ever want to see it done differently.
Right.
So I'm going to say Summer Wars is probably not on my list just because I do enjoy it that much. But series that I would like to have been a part of, I mean, I was a huge fan of Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball series as a kid. So, I mean, I think it would have been really cool to have been a part of that. What are some others? It's going to be hard because a lot of my shows are going to be like nostalgic, you know?
Right.
Like, they're going to be things like Yu Yu Hakusho, you know?
Oh my god.
Or, you know, shows like that. And,
right.
I mean, I could say Evangelion, which for Evangelion 3.3, which I got to see in theaters back in January. I actually did get to be a part of that, and I do thoroughly enjoy the Evangelion series. So that was kind of cool. That's kind of one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, I got to be a part of this, even though I'm like background voices saying something about like a light won't turn on or something. I don't remember.
Right.
I don't remember the specifics of what I said anymore, but it was cool to be in it. So.
So, on the lines of that question, what work have you done that you're most proud of, and what is some of the least work or the least work in a project that you're not as much proud
of? I'm going to say my most proud one is Kaito on Robotics Notes. Because that character is so similar to me that the performance became very personal, and even the things that, while the things that happen in the show can get to the point of being extravagant, you know, because it's a science fiction story.
Right.
The way that the character deals with them is very similar to the way that I would deal with such situations.
Right.
So that role and that performance was very meaningful to me, and I am very proud of it, and I encourage everyone to check it out. I actually looked just today on I was clicking around online, and on Amazon the first part, which is like the first half of the show, is back down to being only like $20. So like,
right.
Just want to let people know, if you want to check out that show, which I think is really, really good, it's really, really cheap right now. So, you know, just FYI. But shameless plug. But I mean, as far as performances that I'm not proud of, I mean, I don't think there is a performance that I'm not proud of, because and it might just be because voice acting was sort of like after that conversation with my dad, and I had that realization, that was my dream job, you know. And so every time I get to do it, every time I'm behind the microphone for any show, no matter how, from the smallest wall part to the biggest role that I can possibly get on a show, I'm proud of every performance that I can give, as long as it's one that I walk out of the booth thinking that I did my absolute best. I'm sorry, I don't have a role that I'm not proud of, because they're all very special to me, I guess. Sort of a way to say that.
Right. So I know that being in your profession, you can get quite busy, but are there any humorous incidents that occurred in the course of your career that you'd like to share?
Humorous incidents that occurred in the course of my career. Oh man, this is one of those questions where you're like, outside of the question, you're like, oh, this is such a funny story. And then you get asked the question, you're like, man, what were some of those stories? Let me think. That's tough. There was one just recently that I'll share with you, that I was recording over at Okratron for something that I can't say what it is, and I had a lot of yelling lines. I had about 200 lines that are all just yelling and screaming, and I got through 150-ish of them, and then I lost my voice. Like, I just couldn't yell anymore. And Sabat, you know, was directing, and he's like, okay, step out of the booth, you know, we'll come back at another time to finish the session, to finish the character and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I felt really bad, because I've never had to end a session prematurely before.
Right.
And Sabat was like, yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to hold that for the entire duration of the session. And I was like, yeah, you know, I don't know what happened. I can usually yell and scream for a really long time in my higher voices, but because I was yelling in my lower voice, which is just a little bit lower than the voice that you can hear me speaking in right now,
right.
I was like, I guess I just burned it out a little bit too fast. And Sabat, who everyone should know has like a really, really deep voice, he just kind of like looks up and he goes, oh yeah, I forgot, that's your low voice. And I was like, oh yeah, now I feel like a man child. So I mean, that's one of my favorite little anecdotes to talk about from in the booth, where it's like, where, you know, I'm kind of making a fool of myself, in that it's like, yeah, well, my low voice, and it's like, oh, that's not low at all. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, thanks. So
if there was something you could change about the industry, what would that be?
If I could change something about the industry, I mean, I guess I would really change the like piracy thing, you know, because piracy is so prominent in this industry, unfortunately. I have to say, I was last night when the bento announcement came out and the scientific railgun announcement was made at the same time, which my friend Afia Yu was announced in, I was kind of reading some of the comments that people were making on it, and there was actually an argument made. Somebody was defending the pirating the show because, at least for right now, and I do not know if this will change. So don't go saying Cliff Chapin said this is going to change. One of the shows is only being released on DVD, and people were making the argument that if I pirate it, I can see it in Blu-ray quality, and then whatever. Then I'm not supporting an insufficient or subpar version of the product.
Right.
And I'm very pleased to say that a lot of people were speaking up against that and defending that, you can get better products will come out if you support them in their forms, and that we can only improve with the proper support.
Sorry about my dog.
It's okay. It's okay. You have dogs. I have screaming children. That's fine. They're not my own screaming children. They're just outside, but that's fine. So I'm happy to see that the fans that are probably like true fans, I would say, are very dedicated to supporting things through legal means. But there's a reality of it that there's just a massive opening for the piracy, and I wish that were different. Just because it's just a little bit, it's unfair. There's so many people who want things to be good, and we put a lot of effort into these products that we want people to enjoy, and we want to continue giving those sorts of products. But like, if people aren't paying for them, then they're gonna not be made. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna stop making them, and so I think the piracy element of the industry is my least favorite thing, and I wish could be changed.
So this is coming from livestream.
Mm-hmm.
This question comes from Attack on Black Butler.
Okay.
How did you come up with the voice of Connie, or for Connie, in, hold up. How did he come up with the voice for Connie? Connie is one of my favorites from Attack on Titan.
Okay. Attack on Black Butler. You have very good taste in characters from Attack on Titan. How did I come up with the voice for Connie? You're not hearing it really right now because I'm kind of talking just quietly. But, like, when I talk normally, it's kind of just my voice. So there was very little, like, let me develop a voice for the character. It just is my voice. And but the things that make the character's voice unique would be the ways that Connie speaks, which you guys unless you were at the premiere for Attack on Titan in Anime Boston, you haven't really heard it, but we put a lot of focus into Connie's speech being, I would describe it as lazy a little bit, in that, like, if I'm saying the word him in the middle of a sentence, I would cut the H off of it and say im. It's lazier speech pattern, where just not really focusing on sounding proper, or proper diction or punctuation, and that helps convey his character, because Connie is supposed to be depicted as not as bright as the other characters in the show. He's supposed to be unintelligent, and so we put a lot of focus into that, and that came from the way that Mike was perceiving the script and how I was perceiving the character, and that's pretty much that. I actually ended up getting cast as Connie because, interestingly enough, when I auditioned, I didn't audition for Connie. I auditioned for. I hadn't seen Attack on Titan, so I didn't really know any of the characters. So I auditioned kind of just to try and showcase my vocal range. Thinking, because I was kind of under the impression I wasn't going to get cast, honestly, because I'm so new, and I knew Attack on Titan was very high profile. And so when I auditioned for Eren, Armin, and Reiner. And then Mike ended up saying to me when I got called in that I was cast as Connie because he liked my Eren audition, but my personality in my reads pretty much across all three characters was more in tune with Connie's personality. So if you can imagine Eren's lines being said with Connie's attitude, that must be what my audition for Eren sounded like, and then I got cast as Connie, which sounds ridiculous now that I'm more aware of the show. So I hope that answers your question, Attack on Black Butler, of how I came up with the voice.
Tori Color Bastia. Hopefully I didn't butcher. I don't know if she or he came in late. But his or her question is, what is your favorite role that you've played thus far?
I kind of touched on it a little bit before. My favorite role thus far is Kaito on Robotics Notes, just because of how personal the role and the performance was. Connie is probably my second favorite, because, to be honest, Kaito and Connie are sort of like the two opposite ends of my own personality, where, like, Kaito's very focused on, he's big into video games, and he kind of doesn't get worked up about a lot unless it means a lot to him. But then on the other end of it, Connie is very funny, and I think Connie cares a lot about other people, and so those are probably my top two, Kaito being number one, Connie being my number two, which I don't want Attack on Titan fans getting angry about, because I know Attack on Titan's like really, really popular, and I do think it's a cool show and everything. But as a personal thing, Kaito was so close to my heart. He's my favorite.
We do have another question from livestream thus far. Alyssa Kazune, please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong, wants to know if you've heard of Attack on Space.
No.
I've never heard of it either, but they want to know if you have, so.
I have not, so
from what they were saying, it's a fan audio play.
Oh, that's cool. I hope it's good. I don't know a lot about that. It's
yeah.
I don't know what to say about it. I'm sorry. I'm actually looking at the live stream now, and some people say it's amazing, so that's cool. I'm glad it's amazing, because I like that people.
It's amazing.
Okay. I like that people like the series enough to do those sorts of. I like that people like the series enough to make those sorts of stories and take it in their own directions, and try and imagine the series in different ways. So that's kind of cool. That's really cool that people have made something like that and that it is good. So that's cool.
Aside from Connie, who is your favorite character from SNK, from Lemon, Orange, Lime?
Aside from Connie, okay, I want want to try and say this without giving any spoilers. My favorite character is probably the specific Titan that they fight at the end of the show. Like in the trees, like in the forest of giant trees, or whatever it's called, that I don't remember what it's specifically called. But that's my other favorite character. So, you know. I don't know if I can try and explain why, but there's even though that character never really speaks in that instance,
right?
That character I feel like has a lot of personality,
right?
And if only for how sadistic that character is portrayed in those moments, I think that's like a really powerful depiction of a character. So I remember when we got to that part, and when I saw it, I was like, this is like really twisted, but in that really sort of like that sort of enjoyable twisted way. So I will say that.
Okay, so we have two questions here from Kamira Demos. Again, forgive me if I say your name wrong. I've known Chim for a while now, and I still keep her name wrong. So, would you consider taking a listen to Attack on Space? Is one question she has.
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is, would you consider also reading the manga? Or have you read it?
Well, let me answer the first one first, I guess. I'm going to say no, I would not, and I don't mean that to be arrogant or anything, but if there's another actor portraying the character that I play in this situation, where because it's a fan-based product, they have a lot more freedom to take the character in directions that, while still being true to the original version of the character, they can take the character in different ways that I don't want to witness and then potentially get in my head and then affect the way that I portray the character. Whereas my portrayal of the character has to be very much in the moment and in the scenes that are happening, and true to myself and the way that Mike, as the director, wants to have the character go. So I wouldn't listen to it, not out of disrespect to those people, but because I think for the benefit of the performance that I have to give, it's better for me to not. As far as reading the manga goes, would I consider reading it? Maybe. I am a little bit aware of what happens in the manga after where the current anime series leaves off. So I do know the immediate events afterwards. Like, I know where they go and what it has to do with Connie. And I will say that I desperately hope that we get to do a second season when there's enough material in the manga, because I think being able to portray that story and character will be very, very exciting for me, and I look forward to being able to portray that. As of right now, it's not on my to-read list, but maybe once down the line. I know, I want to say I heard once about Sunny Straight reading the Dragon Ball manga. And, I mean, this is, however many years now since they've long finished working on the Dragon Ball series, that I think I would probably do it then, if nothing else, is go back and read the Attack on Titan manga when we were all done, and just see how the story was told in its original format. So as of right now, it's not on my to-do list, but I can't say that it won't when we are definitively complete and not going to do anything else with it. So
those are the questions that we have thus far. If I see more, I'll bring them up. But from what Chim says, she says that sounds like a good plan.
Okay, good. I'm glad you approve.
So what was your most challenging project that you've worked on thus far?
Thus far, it is absolutely Attack on Titan. We put just a lot of effort into Attack on Titan in so many ways, because with a show like Attack on Titan, or as many people like to call it, Shingeki no Kyojin, is one of those series that we're like, we kind of know going in that there's gonna be somebody who's not happy with it, and we tried as best as we can to appeal to everyone, from things like just even the way that we pronounce characters' names, because there are going to be the fans who think the name should be pronounced the way that the Japanese actors pronounce them.
Right.
But then there are also going to be the fans who believe that the names should be pronounced phonetically correct to the origin country that these characters are sort of meant to be from.
Right.
So we walk a really fine line between, like, do we make this sound like the Japanese say it, or do we make it sound like how, European people would say it? And so Connie, his last name is not pronounced Springer in the dub. We pronounce it Springer because it's closer to how the German pronunciation would be for it.
Right.
And I can't promise you that that's completely phonetically accurate. I am not a German speaker, and I apologize if it's not correct. But
you got a whole bunch of gasps in the chat right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to blow your mind. But
they say it's actually kind of cool.
Oh, good. I'm glad that's the reaction. But yeah, we focus a lot on those sorts of elements, and I mean, I promise you all, we put a lot of effort into this, being authentic in the best ways, in the best of both worlds that we could do. So it was a very challenging performance and show for those reasons, and because we all knew going into it that no matter what was going to happen, there's going to be a lot of criticism, there's going to be a lot of focus on all of our performances and stuff. So we spent a lot of time trying to hash out those details and make it strong and make it everything that it can be. And so because it was so focused on, it was challenging. So it would be Connie. Connie was the the most difficult one to the moment. So
Scarlet Goddess has a question for you. She says a lot of shows have side characters that never really get much development. Do you feel like the characters of Attack on Titan are all very well developed? Which character do you find has the best development from the work that you've done with this series thus far?
That's hard, because the series in the beginning of it introduces you to like everybody up front. After the first 2 episodes, once we get into the military portion, it introduces so many people.
Right.
And at first, I feel like that's a little bit overwhelming, because it took me a while to realize personally that Marco was not Samuel, was not Bertolt. So, because I just, and especially in my recording sessions, I almost never see all of those characters, it would just, I'd see one for like a second and then be like, oh, that must be the same guy. And then later, I'm like, those are not the same people at all. And so from that element of it, there was a little bit of confusing as far as if the characters are well developed and developed upon. When I got to a point where I did actually did watch the show outside of my recording of it, then I started to get a concept of it and of who these people are. And again, while I haven't read the manga, I am aware of details regarding some of those people.
Right.
Again, no spoilers, but I think some of those characters are left with mystery intentionally, and they feel underdeveloped a little bit in the series as it is, because it's going to be made to be, as it was in the manga, a big reveal. Yeah, I know maybe not everyone here is going to be spoiled, but I don't want to run the risk. Just want to cover my bases. I think a lot of characters do get developed in interesting ways, and then other characters, I want to see more of them. So there are some characters that I want to see develop further, and
right.
They're not developed to the point that that I personally am content with as someone who watched the show.
Right.
So I guess that answers the question. I don't know.
Lemon Orange Lime asked, do you have any other talents than just voice acting?
I don't know. Is OCD a talent? I don't know. It's not really a talent, but I'm a bit of a gamer. So I play the Pokemon games, right? And I have all 718 Pokemon.
Oh my god.
And I mean, I don't mean that like in my Pokedex it lists that I have all of them. I mean, I have a Bulbasaur, and I have an Ivysaur, and I have a Venusaur, and I have a Charmander, and the whole way through, I have one of every single Pokemon in my PC.
Right.
So I guess that's where my OCD became a talent, because I'm like, I need to have them all. And I think it's kind of just a measure of that I always want to just be like, if I ever run into my 10-year-old self,
right,
I want to make sure he's not better than me. So, like, he needs to know that I've still got the edge over 10-year-old me. So, yeah.
Attack on Black Butler asks, what is your favorite Pokemon?
I have two favorite Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon is Houndoom is my favorite. And the reason for that is actually that I had a black dog when I was growing up, and as all dogs do, it eventually passed away. And so then back in the Diamond and Pearl generations of games, I trained one that I sort of named after my dog, and so it sort of takes on my sort of like nostalgia, sort of just my memory of that dog, and so it's I made it personal, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so Houndoom is one of my favorites because I relate it to that dog. And then my other favorite Pokemon in complete reversal is probably Crocodile, just because he's mean. And he's like the glassiest of all glass cannon Pokemon, but like I love Crocodile. So and so because like when I first saw Sandile, I was like, Sandile's adorable. And then when it evolved into Crocodile, I was like, this thing's amazing. And so those are my two favorite Pokemon.
I don't know if you would consider this a question, but Lemon Orange Lime was asking, oh my god, do you have Pokemon X and Y? I sure hope so.
I only have Y. But I have Pokemon Y. I don't have Pokemon X. But yes and no to the question.
Okay. So, if you could have played any other character in a project you've been in, which would it have been and why?
Which would it have been and why? Tough question. If I could have been anybody else, I guess if we let's go with robotics notes. Even though Kaito's so personal to me, and I love that role, and I never would change the casting in that or anything. I never would want to play a different character. If I could have played Jared Green's character Subaru, I think it would have been a lot of fun, because Subaru has the dichotomy of his character where he's like really stoic and cold, but then he like has this fake alter ego superhero persona that's just really, really funny. And so I kind of always, every scene I got to interact with Jared's character in that show, I loved. And like his character has this like monologue when he comes out as his alter ego that's like, by the blessing of the 7 goddesses, I now make my advent of 400 light years, something like that. And there's a moment where Kaito reveals him and like reveals the secret identity. And I got to say like the beginning part of it where I'm like, so by the blessing of the 7 goddesses, and then it tricks him into saying the rest of it. So I loved every scene like those, and I think that would have been a really fun character to play. I think Jared played it beautifully, and I would never change the casting of Robotics Notes at all. But I think that would have been a fun character to play. So.
Okay, so you have 2 questions here. One I think is really, really, really a stupid question to ask, but
okay.
Would you ship Springles?
Can I ask a question first about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it called Springles because Sasha is the potato girl and potato chips? I literally only just heard this term recently, and actually the person who said that was a very good friend of mine, Felicia Angel, who voice acts at Funimation, played roles like Sakura in Evangelion 3.3, and she said something about it being Springles to me, and I was like, is it called that because of what I just said? And she's like, and she just wrote me back. She's like, oh my God, my mind just exploded. And I was like, did I get it? Like, and nobody knows. But that's the only reason I think it can be called that. And so if that's why that's called that, then I feel good that I could figure that out. But like, so anyway, do I ship it?
Yeah, putting the two characters together in a relationship.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, wherever the series goes, I'm totally going to be fine with it. I've actually made this joke before that I think if Attack on Titan ever had like a tournament arc, I think the Connie Sasha fight would be amazing. And I would love for that to happen. I guess, I mean, wherever the show goes, I'm totally going to be okay with it. And if it happens to lead to like Springles, then I'm gonna be okay with that too. I'm just in my head right now. I'm coming up with so many bad jokes about once you pop, the fun don't stop. Oh, we've gone into dark territory here. So anyway.
Kimura wants to ask, how do you like working with all the other actors for SNK?
Well, that's kind of funny because I never actually work with any of the other actors on Titan, and but okay, when I recorded my first few lines and pretty well into I don't know. So before episode 8 of Attack on Titan, I was recording ahead of people, and so I was alone. There were no other voices.
Right.
And then as we got into episode 8, the other voices were filling in, and I got to hear like Ashley as Sasha, and Rob as Reiner, and just all of their performances are so good that it made acting off of their performances very much easier. To answer the question, so like, do VAs record separately? In dubbing, yes, we do. Generally, I think there are some situations where they don't, but 98% of the time, yes, we all record separately because we have to spend time making sure that our lines are matching the animation that existed from Japan, that we can't record with each other. If it's a show that's made, I'm going to say in North America, even though a lot of the animation takes place overseas, that recording happens with all the other actors most of the time, and then the animation is done to match that recording. But so dubbing, which we call ADR, which stands for automatic dialogue replacement, we are recording independently of each other, and unless we're doing walla, which is the crowd noises where like people are screaming because Titans are eating people, in which case then it will be a group of actors working together. But
right.
For me as Connie, I did not work in the same room with the other actors at the same time. But that said, every performance that I have heard from my recording process has been just excellent. The first time I heard Josh Greeley as Armin, I was like, oh my God, he's amazing. And I mean, it's just, yes, I enjoyed working with the other actors. So
this is going to go along the lines of kind of sort of what you just touched on a bit. but it's going to go a little bit deeper than that.
Okay.
What do you personally think of the vicious hatred expressed by certain otakus for any kind of English dubbing?
Did you say the vicious hatred that otaku have for English dubbing?
Expressed by certain otakus.
Oh, okay. Whew, I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't think they all hate dubbing. Man, you're putting me in some tough spots here.
I know, I'm sorry.
Honestly, I wish that the fans who don't take to English dubs, I wish they could be a little bit more open-minded. But and especially in a situation like Attack on Titan, because you guys probably haven't seen as much of it as I have now, because I've seen the footage that we were recording on is the DVD version, the Blu-ray versions from Japan, you know, with the finished animation and the colors are touched up and everything is just incredible. That to spend the series staring at the bottom of your screen, reading the text, and not being able to really focus on the finer nuances of the animation and the illustrations is almost a disservice. And that's not to say that the seiyuu performances aren't excellent in their own right and shouldn't be recognized, but I do think that the animation is so excellent that I encourage everyone to listen to it in dub if you don't just speak and understand Japanese. So I wish there would be a little bit more. I wish there would be a little bit more open-mindedness to it. I guess that's my answer, because I know there are some performances that, like, from old video games and stuff, that when they dubbed it, they just were like, "Hey, janitor, come here and record this," and then you play it and you're like, "That was awful." And I know that happens, but we've taken so many steps away from that now, where we have, you know, just actors who have gone to school for so long to learn this, and then to learn their trade and develop it and everything, that that there are some people that they don't recognize it, or they just outright hate us. Is like, man, nobody in this industry does this to ruin your favorite thing. You know what I mean? Every single actor and director and everybody working on it wants it to be a good product, and we want it to be something that you enjoy and can appreciate, and, you know, just all that stuff. And so that's sort of my opinion on it. Is I wish people didn't take it personally,
very seriously.
When we are trying to make something for them. So it's a weird line, I guess.
Well, and then the reason why I had asked that question, I mean, I know that it went to, like, a very, very deep conversation, but I do know that there are some people out there that consider themselves to be hard otakus and prefer subtitles over dubbing, and that's why I went with that question.
Right, and I would be foolish to not. I would be foolish to pretend like that's not, like, a thing. To pretend that it's like, no, that never happens. I mean, it happens.
Oh, yes.
So, I'm aware of it, and I wish, you know, I want it.
So,
good.
This is my last question. However, if the viewers, we have 17 people listening in. If anybody else has a question, go ahead and start asking them now and keep them rolling if you want. But for me, when you're not in the studio working on a project, what hobbies or passions do you do in your spare time?
What hobbies or passions? Well, like I said, I game a lot, and it's so bad now because outside of voiceover, I also have a full-time job, and something happens when you get old that like you just don't have time anymore, and so like I'm currently in this moment, like whenever I feel the the moment strike me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna IV breed and EV train a Pokemon, which takes hours, and then I'm currently playing Tales of Symphonia on PlayStation 3, the HD re-release. I'm playing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on Wii U. I just bought Bravely Default for my 3DS, and I don't have the time for any of those games. So I game a lot. I read some comics. I actually, when I was in college, I interned at Marvel Comics for my last semester of school, and so I've always been a Marvel Comics fan, and so I read a lot of books that are written by Jonathan Hickman. So like he was writing Fantastic Four.
Right.
Now he's on Avengers. So I read those. Pretty much anything he writes, I'm going to pick it up because I think his books are amazing. I'm also reading the current Ninja Turtles stories being written by IDW because that story is just excellent, in my opinion. I don't know, stuff like that. I guess stuff like that.
That you got a fan already. Chim's like, oh my god, he's such a nerd. I love this man. But no, I mean, I understand where you're coming from with the full-time job thing or part-time, just not having enough time at all.
Yeah. Life is hard. And somewhere in between all this of work and gaming, I need to find time to eat and sleep. And it's just like, who has this kind of time?
Attack on Black Butler asks, would you like to do voice acting full-time?
Absolutely. If I could get to that point, nothing in the world would make me happier professionally than to be able to voice act full-time. Because it's something I have such a passion for, and I would love to do it full time, but it's hard because the other people out here are just so good, they're so talented.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to call everyone that I have met out here a friend. I don't personally have any negative feelings towards anyone I've been able to meet out here, but I mean to work alongside or to audition against people like Josh Greeley or Ian Sinclair, and Joel McDonald, and just all of those guys. They're so incredibly talented and good at what they do, and then on top of that, they are just all the nicest people, and those are only 3 examples. I promise you that spans across the entire board of everyone I've had the opportunity of meeting. And, so I mean, to get to a point where I could be voice acting full time, is going to be very, very hard, and not soon, I think. But I'm in good company with the people that I get to work with, so I'm okay with that for now.
Right.
So.
Lemon Orange Lime asks, will you be at any conventions in the near future?
Yes. I will be at Louisianime in June, I believe. June? Yes. And I saw like just before we started this live tweet, there's a convention taking place in Woodstock, Connecticut, called Camp Anime, that I'm going to be a guest at there as well. And that's exciting because that's actually really close to my hometown. So I will be able to kind of like visit my friends and family too. So
right.
Like, I'm really happy about that one. Not to say that I'm not excited for Louisiana, but like I'm like, oh man, I get to go home. That's cool. And so those are as of right now, they're the two cons that I can talk about. I guess if you guys want to see me at other cons, I mean, I'm not really aware of how that sort of thing works. I think you guys need to get in touch with the conventions.
I think there's also panel inquiries. I don't know. I mean, I've looked at it on the websites every once in a while. But you have people saying go to a TacoCon, Phoenix Comic Con, and Anime Expo.
I would love to go to all of the cons, but I will need to be invited because the travel wares of it would be difficult for me to just travel all over the world to go to conventions that I'm not a guest at.
Right.
So I mean, if there's a way that you guys can suggest me to cons or something, and that persuades them to invite me, I mean, I would go. But that's about as most I can say about it. So.
What? This is another question from Attack on Black Butler. What is your favorite comic book hero and favorite comic book villain? And then Chim added on to that from DC and Marvel.
Okay. I'm gonna admit up front, I know Marvel much better than I know DC. So I'll start with Marvel. My favorite superhero is probably Spider-Man, and is a character that I would love to play one day. I would go to great lengths to ever play Spider-Man. And actually, kind of a funny story. Micah Solasad was talking to me recently, and there's like a thing in Walmarts and Targets right now that it's like 3 blocks that show different pictures of Marvel characters, and you can rearrange them to have different bodies.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like a thing they're doing with the toys right now, is that like you can just mix up the superhero bodies and make like a conglomeration superhero. And but it's really funny that when you walk by this thing, it'll talk, and it like has like a Hulk voice, and then it has a Spider-Man voice. And Micah thought that it was me as Spider-Man. And so he said to me, he's like, "Was that you?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Dude, I thought you got a role that you didn't tell me about." I thought you got that and you didn't tell me. And I was like, "Cliff, I thought we were friends." Micah, I would have, trust me, had I been cast as Spider-Man in any way, shape, or form, be it an action figure or a cartoon, that would have been everywhere. I would have never shut up about it.
Right.
It'd be Spider-Man everywhere. So that's just kind of a funny little thing. But it's not me. I wish it was. Whoever that guy is, I'm jealous. So Spider-Man is my favorite, probably my favorite hero. And also another character that growing up, my friends were always like, "You are just like him." I'm like, yeah, because I'm geeky, I guess. Man, favorite Marvel villain.
Connie is actually Spider-Man's long-lost son, passed it on from Scarlet.
If only that were true. It's funny, I saw a fan art picture of Deadpool with, like, Spider-Man shooting the webs out by Deadpool's waist as if Deadpool was doing the Attack on Titan thing. And I was like, that's really funny. Man, favorite villain. That is a tough call, because I think villains are something that have to be done very, very well. So a lot of them are just really, really good. So I don't know if I have a favorite villain that I can think of off the top of my head. So let's see. Let me transition. I'll do DC now. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a huge DC fan, though I have enjoyed several of their animated series. Like I loved Teen Titans, and I love Batman Beyond.
Right.
Man, I love, especially in the Teen Titans animated series, I love the depiction of Robin. I love Raven in that show. I loved Slade, and I loved Red X. They were like my 4 favorites from that show. I also just love Terry McGinnis as Batman from Batman Beyond.
Right.
And actually, if you want to know something else, is Afia Yu is another good friend of mine, and we were hanging out back when we were recording Robotics Notes, and we got together and we watched Batman Beyond: The Return of the Joker on Blu-ray, and then very soon after, we had to do a commentary track together on Robotics Notes, and if you listen to the commentary, Afia and I quote Batman Beyond: The Return of the Joker in the movie. Like, we each say a line from the movie.
Right.
So, in our Robotics Notes commentary. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, because I'm not super well versed in DC. I always liked the Flash and Kid Flash, also, but I mean, so.
Let me refind it again. I think it was Scarlett that asked.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to where is it? Would you ever cosplay as Connie at a con?
Yes and no. I would wear, like, the jacket and stuff, but I would not shave my head. So, it was kind of funny. I was actually joking with, like, Micah and Afia and a few others yesterday, because we went to a Renaissance fair, and apparently in the Renaissance they had those, like, trampolines with the belts things that make people bounce really high. I didn't know that. I mean, so Renaissance must have been pretty cool during the time. I mean, whatever else was going on, maybe not so much. But I was joking. I was like, man, if I had an Attack on Titan jacket, I would totally go and jump on that trampoline and just be like, someone take a picture and then we'll tweet it or something. It'll be like me trying to play act as Connie, where it's as close to the using the omnidirectional mobility gear as I think we can get today. I would absolutely wear the getup, but I like my hair a little bit.
Lemon Orange Lime said wear a bob cap. Maybe.
Well, it's definitely an option. I'll keep it in mind. If I ever get there, I'll keep it in mind. So
does anybody else have any more questions? Anybody? I don't. Attack on Black Butler. She said she kind of answered the question, or I did get answered. But if you could voice anyone from Teen Titans, who would you do?
I mean, vocally, my voice, if we're going off of the Teen Titans that now has spawned Teen Titans Go, my voice is most suited for, like, Robin or Red X or Kid Flash. But I mean, so I guess those would be the characters that I would want to play. So yeah, I mean, knowing my vocal type, that would be the ones. And then like I said, I loved Slade as a character, just for the okay, I'm gonna get really nerdy now, because I haven't done that the entire live stream. The season 4 finale of Teen Titans, when Slade has to go to retrieve his life essence, and he fights the gatekeeper, and then blows up the gatekeeper, and he stands over the gatekeeper's like mask or whatever, and he says "Don't get up, I'll show myself out." I'm like, oh, Slade, you're so cool. Just so yeah, there you go.
Scarlet Goddess said if she sees you at Louisianime, can she give you a hug? She'll be dressed as Annie from SNK, in fact.
Yes, you may. The only thing I ask of anybody at conventions is just in between days at conventions, take showers and stuff, and I will hug everyone. It's perfectly fine. So.
And Chim said, "Oh my God, get loose, get dirty, please."
Well, then you guys need to ask me nerdier questions. We
can exactly.
Get as nerdy as you want to go, but you gotta ask me the questions. So.
19, almost 20 people. This is like the biggest live stream I've ever held, to be honest. Chim's like, I beg of you to get dirty. So, guys, just so you know, if you have a question, if you guys do have a question, Scarlet, what do you think of the new...
Of the new Spider-Man? Which Spider-Man are you talking about?
Is it the Spider-Man,
Are we talking about Superior Spider-Man? Are we talking about Amazing Spider-Man movies? Are we talking about Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon? Are we talking about Ultimate Spider-Man comics? I don't know what we're talking about. So, which Spider-Man?
So many people asking questions.
Well, okay. I don't know very. Okay, so you guys are saying Miles Morales. I don't know very much about Miles Morales. I will say I think it's a really cool idea. I wish, to be honest with you, I wish it happened before, because I think it happened like right at the exact same time. I wish it happened a little bit earlier than the Spider-Man Shattered Dimension game that came out, where you could play as Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, and Spider-Man Noir, and Ultimate Spider-Man. And the only reason I say that is because with Amazing Spider-Man, Noir Spider-Man, 2099 Spider-Man, they could really differentiate the character. But then they kind of were like, well, we need a fourth one, and we're going to throw in Ultimate. And Ultimate in that incarnation is so similar to Amazing Spider-Man that I feel like they kind of just were like, well, we need to make him different, so we're going to give him the black Venom suit. Whereas I think if they had made the fourth character either Miles Morales Spider-Man, or if they had made it Spider-Girl, I think it would have completely made that character and that interpretation of the character its own thing and felt a lot more original in the game. So while I'm not up to date on the Ultimate Spider-Man line, which now Miles Morales is Spider-Man, I do think it's a really cool idea, and I hope it's a good story. So, yeah, that's what I think of Spider-Man.
Okay, throwing one out there. Is there any vocal talent or actor that you aspired to be like?
Is there any vocal talent or actor? Well, as far as like this is gonna date me, I think, a little bit, which is gonna be weird because I was totally not around at the time. But the one of the most incredible actors I think that ever lived was Jack Lemmon, who stars in one of my all-time favorite films called The Apartment, and he just was such a phenomenal actor in his day. and so I always enjoy watching films that he is in, or was in, because he's passed away. Man, vocal talents. There's so many. I was a huge fan of like Beast Wars as a kid. So like Ian Corlett, Scott McNeil, Gary Chalk, David Kay, Venus Terzo. All of them are actors that I love their performances, and so those are there's an actor and several voice actors that I have always sort of idolized or looked up to. So
Attack on Black Butler asked, did you have a lot of Spider-Man toys growing up?
I mean, I don't know how I would define a lot. I definitely had a few. I tried to have a pretty good array of the Marvel Comics figures when I was a kid, but I did have several Spider-Man figures. Now that I'm like older, I don't collect a lot of figures anymore like I used to. I will pick up stuff now if it's like something that means a lot to me. So like I have the 4 Ninja Turtles figures just because I love the Ninja Turtles. And I do have, as I mentioned earlier, that I love John Hickman's comics that he's writing at Marvel, and he was writing the Fantastic Four and the Future Foundation storyline. And I do have the Spider-Man, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and Thing figures that are modeled after the Future Foundation designs, just because I like that series. So there you go.
Damper Princess asked, what is your favorite, it's a random question, but what is your favorite Disney movie or character?
My favorite Disney movie is a Goofy movie. As far as like Disney movie, my favorite like Pixar Disney movie is WALL-E. And it's funny, I was actually having this conversation just recently. I think one of the reasons I like a Goofy movie is because even though it's a Disney musical, it's not, the music in that film or in that movie it's never like a show-stopping number, with the exceptions of After Today and Nobody Else Like You. Like, those are the only songs, and On the Open Road. Those are the only songs in the film that are show-stopping musicals. All of the other songs in that movie are music within the world. So there's songs and stuff that the characters enjoy in it, and I think that's really different from like pretty much every other Disney musical. So, and it sets it apart in my mind for that reason. And also, I'm kind of just a sucker for like father-son movies. So Goofy movie is my favorite Disney proper movie. And then WALL-E, I think, is an incredible story that is told with such minimal dialogue that artistically, I think WALL-E is just a masterpiece. So those are my favorite Disney movies.
Let me see if I can scroll back up here. Captain Fabulous asks, are you at all angry that they changed it from CONNIE to CONNY, which sparked up the debate where it's like they changed it, and then it was like one episode where John, it was like that in the subtitles on Netflix, but it also says John in one of the episodes for Gene.
I mean, does it make me angry? No. I can't say I know why the change was made, because I don't know why the change was made. But it doesn't. I don't necessarily think the spelling changes much of the context in this case. Whereas like with Mike McFarlane's character being written as John or Jean, we're pronouncing it as Jean, sort of, which I believe is French. And if I'm wrong, please don't get the pitchforks. But I don't think it changes much of anything. So it doesn't really bother me in any way. So no.
Rayout says, when you watched Attack on Titan, did you see any of what happened coming?
When I watched Attack on Titan, did I see anything coming? Why? I mean, I don't think I did. I don't think I did, and it was hard. It's hard for me to say that because I had started working on Attack on Titan before I watched it, so like a lot of it I was aware of when I finally watched it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for me to say, like, did I see it coming? It's like I didn't really have the chance to see it coming. Because I just encountered it and then I knew it. You know what I mean? So that's sort of that answer.
All caps question from Captain Fabulous. Did any of the deaths in Attack on Titan make you hella sad? If so, which ones?
Did any of the deaths in Attack on Titan make me hella sad? Well, I mean, you know, hella is its own level of sadness. I mean, it's kind of a hard question, because not a lot of the characters who die are characters that Connie really interacts with. So they're not, at least as far as the anime series goes so far, manga, but I mean, none of them have really personally affected me, because there's also an element of it that when I was watching Attack on Titan, I was watching it for the sake of my own personal study in the role. So, like, I was not really observing it from a fan element as much as I was from a professional element. So I had a level of detachment between me and my viewing that sort of kept me from getting emotionally distraught over anybody who dies.
Right. Damper is asking a question for somebody, Hunter1. Do you have a certain character archetype that you feel you perform better as?
I mean, pretty much if it's a teenager, that's my archetype as far as like specifics of the teenager. If it's someone who's really low key, such as like Keita and Kaito, or if it's someone really high energy like Connie, I don't think I've really developed that archetype just yet, to the point that I've really discovered it, because then like you take into consideration of Takinagi and Red Data Girl and even Heracles and Bento, and they're both they're like the most easily defeated villains I've ever seen in stories. So it's like I've sort of played these three types of characters, and it's, you know, I don't think I have an archetype just yet outside of just that this is what my voice suits so far. So
Valkyrie Reborn asks, have you seen the most recent OVA at all?
Of Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
I think I like saw something posted about it, but I have not seen it. No.
Rayout asks, has anyone bombed you during the show, and what was the most memorable?
Yes, there's one bomb that I know of, and it's kind of funny the way that it happened, because usually a bomb is put in by someone who records first, and then the person who comes in and records second hears it and makes them laugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Red Data Girl, where I play Takinagi, Micah Solasad plays Sagara, and he got to the episode where I appear after me, and there's a line in it where he and the main girl are discussing my character, and they're saying, she says, "Doesn't he kind of remind you of?" And he says, "Of Wamia?" Yeah, he kind of does. And Wamia is another character. And Micah recorded an alt that I don't know if he just did it wildly or whatever to get a laugh out of Joel, but he did this alt that was does he remind you of a big red dog? Yeah, he does. And so that was sort of that's the most memorable bomb that I know of, which I never actually got to experience. Because obviously he's making fun of the fact that my name is Clifford, and Clifford the big red dog is like a thing. So yes.
Ask Another Set of Wings asks, is there any other characters you would like to see Connie interact with more?
Is there any other characters that I would like to see Connie interact with more? Everybody. I mean, when you think about Connie in the show, and it's easy for me to think about it this way because they're pretty much the only scenes that I saw in the actual working phase, is like Connie works a lot with Sasha in training. Then I spend a lot of time yelling Jean's name as we're running around the city. And then like we're in the forest, well actually still in the city, I spend a little bit of time with Armin and Mikasa, and then we get into the forest and I talk a little bit more with Mikasa, and then I talk again with Sasha. Like my interactions are very, very broken up, and I would just like to see him be with the rest of the cast more, you know? So
right.
So there's no character really in specific that I can think of that I want him to interact with more. I'm sure all of the shippers are really hoping I'm saying Springles, but like, which I mean, if it happens, it's fine. But yeah. So anybody they want to put Connie next to in a scene, I'm totally for it because I want to see him say that.
I know that you kind of touched on this one here, but and it kind of falls within line with the characters interacting with each other. But Captain Fabulous asks, what do you think about the interactions between Sasha and Connie, and were they fun to record?
Oh, they were so much fun to record. The interactions between Connie and Sasha, I enjoy them a lot, and I'm sad that they only really happen at the beginning, and then we kind of have like a really quick dialogue between them right at the end of the show, before we go back into the city. And because they give such, they tend to give lighthearted moments to such a dark show, and I really enjoy that about those two characters. And so any of the scenes though, like especially in the training scenes, where we're interacting and we're goofing off, and you know, I'm making like bad kung fu sounds, they're so funny, and were a lot of fun to record. And the scenes and the times that I got to hear, or like, and when they attack the Titans that are Attack on Titan, when they are in the storage room, and Connie and Sasha miss, and then both of us are kind of like panicking.
Right.
I mean, our scenes together are very good, and I loved recording those scenes, especially just because of just because of the attitude of those scenes, I feel is, I guess, refreshing in the sense of the series. So, yeah, they were fun. I liked them a lot.
Alyssa Kazune asks, if you were a character in Attack on Titan, would you be in the military police, recon corps, or the garrison?
That's kind of a tough call. I don't know that I would be skilled enough to make it into the military police if the conditions are like, you have to be in the top 10. So I would probably, I would probably do the wall maintenance personally, just for the sake of that. If I am under the impression that the walls are the only things keeping the Titans out, then I'm gonna want to keep that. I'd want to keep that safe, you know?
Right.
So that's probably what I would do. As they say in Attack on Titan, not all of us are as suicidal as Eren. So,
I agree.
I think I would stick to the walls. So.
Let's see. There's so many questions flying in now. Attack on Black Butler. Do you think Connie and Sasha are the comic relief of Attack on Titan? I am so sorry.
It's okay.
My internet connection just dropped, and now I lost like half the questions that we had.
Oh, okay. It's all right. Sorry, guys. We're back, right?
We're completely back.
Sorry, guys. What was the question that we were trying to ask right as it cut out?
Do you think Connie and Sasha are the comedic relief of Attack on Titan?
Yes. I think they, along with, I believe her name is, its name is Hanji. They are the comedic relief characters. I say it's because I know that we leave that character rather gender ambiguous. So
So guys, if you had a question, who are your favorite Marvel ladies from Ray Out?
Favorite Marvel ladies? Good question. Trying to think if there's any. X-23. I love X-23. Sorry, had to think about that for a second. I love X-23. Let's see. I just recently read the Red She-Hulk books, and they were pretty cool. I loved Cloud9 in Avengers, The Initiative. Yeah. So those, I guess, off the top of my head, those are some of my favorites. So.
Chim, I'm just gonna call you Chim. Do you think Connie is a lot stronger of a character than he comes off to be?
Yes. And I say that especially knowing where the story goes after where the animated series leaves off. I feel like where the animated series or tells up to is where Connie is sort of coming to terms with the realities of the world, in that he starts off like a goofball and not taking anything seriously, and then when he actually sees the carnage and the difficulties of this world, I think he goes through a dark time where he's not really sure if what they're doing is right, or not what they're doing is wrong or anything, but that he doesn't know if he's strong enough to handle it. And
Right.
then, sorry guys.
Sorry, everybody. I know that there is a couple of questions out there, and I'm waiting for my chat to pop up here. I know that there's. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if you know, we have a very limited of choices of internet here, and so far I've got stuck with Time Warner cable, so I apologize.
So,
But
I don't remember. I don't know what the last thing you guys heard me say was, but I do think that the first, at least what we'll call, I guess, a season of Attack on Titan, hoping that there will be a second. We see Connie, I think, grow and mature, and that I know that in where the manga goes from here, he stands up for a lot of people that may or may not be good people to stand up for, but I think he always strives for and looks for what is right and what is good. So,
spoiler for you: Attack on Black Butler said there will be a season 2 of the Japanese. It comes out next month.
Does it really? I really hope that's true.
That's what it says. Oh no, it's not going to be on Toonami.
Oh no! What's coming out on Toonami next month is season 1. It's what we've dubbed.
Yeah. That's where you get to see Cliff's amazing voice acting at work.
So, hopefully, hopefully there's a season 2 coming. That's what I would really. I think everybody would like it. So.
Lemon Orange Lime said, aside from what's in canon, have you developed any personal ideas about Connie's character, like what his quirks or likes are?
I can't say definitively that I have. I don't know. I guess because I'm just sort of like because I'm working on it. I haven't really come up with an idea of what I think. Things outside of what I know about him could be true. I mean, there's an element of it that when you're an actor and you're portraying a character, that you find that piece of you in the character that you relate to. So in that way, I do have a sense of things that Connie would like and what Connie would appreciate or enjoy. But I mean, they would be things like that I like, in the element of it that is similar to me, such as making bad jokes and being a goofball. So that's about the most of that.
Chim asks, as a voice actor, do you have to separate yourself from the actual acting, such as if you're a huge fan of the show or become a huge fan, do you have to kind of not show it while working?
No, I don't think so, because the show that I became the biggest fan of while working on it was Robotics Notes, and again, that was because it was so personal to me that, but at no point was I really fanatic of it, and it didn't change really my performance or anything of it. It just gave me one more thing to, because then I loved the world of it, and I then love it helped me develop into the character and be more involved with that character. So no, I don't think there's any point where I've had to really separate. I haven't had a moment where I've had to try and separate myself from the thing that I'm working on, because it's just sort of like it's that thing that, like, when you're doing it, you just kind of do it, and then that's really it.
Alyssa asks, how much experience with acting did you have before voice acting?
I had a pretty good amount. I did some plays, like when I was in school, not as many as I probably should have. But I also did some acting in student films, and then because I was studying in college film production, I had to direct a lot, and through directing other actors, I kind of started learning and further developing acting myself, because it was sort of necessary for me to have an understanding of acting, to be able to get the performances that I want from my actors. So that's where most of my experience came from. And then I just sort of, I was like, man, I love voice acting and its forms and stuff. And I got a microphone, and literally I soundproofed my closet back home, and then I was just recording indie games and commercials and, you know, advertisements and everything that I could from home. And so I mean, I did not have a lot of acting experience before I just dove right into it personally.
Right.
But I did have a good, like, understanding of acting. So
Attack on Black Butler, and I know that this is going to be risky to ask.
Mm-hmm.
She or he wants to know if he can answer this, but are you working on any other animes at the moment? If you can't say anything, can you say a number?
Well, saying a number would kind of be like saying yes or no. That is not a question I can answer at this time. And because there's such a dichotomy, that changes, you know, daily sort of thing. Like if I'm working on something or if I'm not working on something. So I'm gonna have to go with maybe, and I'm sorry.
She goes, damn. How about we all be they for now? Okay. So guys, if you have any more questions, pop them up now, or forever hold your pieces. How was your Easter today?
I was fine. I really didn't do anything. I did my laundry, and I talked to my parents over FaceTime, and that was about it. You know, it was a really easy, you know, laid back day. But I kind of had a little bit, not really a celebration, but I spent a lot of time with friends yesterday. So in a way, that sort of substitutes my Easter, you know, and that it's like, oh, you know. And then I got to do this pretty cool interview on live stream today, so that was cool. It was a good Easter.
So Captain Fabulous asks, how long do you think you'd actually last on Attack on Titan?
I mean, I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I would like to think I would do well, but man, I have no idea. So.
Attack on Black Butler asks, this is back on Springles again. Have you ever read or seen any fanfiction for Springles?
Okay, when we talked about Springles the first time, I mentioned that Felicia Angel was the one who kind of made me aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she did that by sending me, like, a comic that somebody had drawn that was depicting them, and it was really weird. Like, I have so many questions about the comic, because it was like, it starts off and like Connie and Sasha are in bed, but like nothing's really shown, but like it's weird. And then like Sasha's like, I have something for you, and she gives him a button that was like, great job or something like that on it. And it just was like, okay, that's my only exposure to it, and it's like, all right, well, okay, I assumed it was a thing, and it is a thing, and that's about the most I can say about it. So
Sheeny asks, and evidently this is forbidden by Chim, but fascinating for a live fan casting for a live action SNK, who would you pick?
If casting for a live action
fan casting, meaning like who would you pick to be the actors for who?
Oh, like if I could cast an Attack on Titan live action movie using people?
Yeah.
I don't. That's a tough question because all the characters are like 15, and that I feel like that leaves me with like the Jonas Brothers or something. So no, I do not. I don't have an answer for that question because I don't think there's a good answer for that question. So.
Nagi Sassy, I'm just gonna call you Sassy, has a question that do you feel like Connie will be a character that lives on for a long time?
I mean, I hope so. And if he's not, I want his death to be epic. And okay, so I'm not, like I've said this before, I'm not a huge I'm gonna ship this or something like that. And like I said, if it happens, it happens. But like if Connie were to die, I want him to go down in like a blaze of glory where he like kills a bunch of Titans and he's bloodied and battered, and then just in the middle of the corpses of Titans, like the rest of the group get to him, and then he just goes like, Sasha, and then just dies. Like, that'd be amazing. But that's how I want him to go out if he's gonna die. Otherwise, I want him to just live for as long as he can. So there you go. I hope he's a character who makes it for a long time.
You have so many people that are like, oh my god, no, my heart.
Well, exactly, because that's what you want, right? You want the feels. And I think that would do it. And, yeah. So I want him to go out in if he's going to die, I want him to go out big time. I don't want him to just get stuffed in some Titan's mouth and be gone. But I would prefer if he lives. So, that's it.
Mibhen Tori Mori? I'm just gonna call you Mori. Said, imagine if you wrote fics. Like fan fictions.
Imagine if I wrote fan fiction?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that. So.
Jim's telling you right now it's not allowed.
Okay. No.
Anybody else have any more questions? I know that there's kind of a delay. Have you seen the image of what Connie's Titan would look like if he was a Titan shifter?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard that it's not really like there's really nothing special about it. So I know what you're talking about, but I have not actually seen it. No.
Sassy, is there any other things that you would like to do in the future besides voice acting?
I would like to voice direct, to be honest, because like I've mentioned a little bit, that I went to college for film production and stuff, and it was mostly because I wanted to be a director. So if I ever had the opportunity to move into a voice directing role, I would love that chance.
Attack on Black Butler asks, would you like Connie to turn into a Titan?
That's another one of those things where it's like, if it happens, then I'm going to be okay with it. I guess one of the things that I like about Connie is that he doesn't, because it keeps... I think Connie is a really relatable character in the series in that he's sort of more average than some of the other characters. You know, we know about Aaron, and then Mikasa is extremely skilled, and then Armin is, you know, very strategically adept. And Connie doesn't really have anything that sets him apart from the everyday person. And I think that's what keeps him... I think that's what makes him a character that so many people like. And so the fact that he's not a Titan shifter, I think, is good for the character narratively. Like I said, if it happens, it happens. But for the meantime, I'm happy that he isn't. So if he does and it's told in a very good way, then I'm totally for it. And if he does and it's not told in a really good way, then I'm still going to just be totally for it, because that's my job. But I like that he's not for now. So.
Pretty much just waiting on more questions. It just kind of got silent with that one. Do you get attached to your characters from Chim?
Yeah. I mean, I do. Because, like I said before, there's a part of me in every character that I play, and so portraying that and finding that element makes me grow attached to them. And so when it's something like Titan or Robotics Notes or Good Luck Girl, where I recorded it over a pretty good amount of time, where, you know, it's a bunch of sessions and it's over a few weeks and stuff like that, it's really sad when you get to the end of it and it's like, wow, this is over, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to do this again, you know, as this character, or if I'm gonna revisit this character. And so yeah, I do get attached to them. So
hold on, I'm trying to figure this out real quick. Sassy asks, when was the first time you ever heard of Attack on Titan, and did you think that you were going to be voicing a character of it?
The first time I heard of Attack on Titan, it was a few episodes out, and people were watching the live streams, the simulcasts of it, and I just kept seeing people posting on Facebook, like, about Attack on Titan, and all these things about, you know, Eren, and Mikasa, and Armin, and whatever, and I had no clue what people were talking about, and, but I still heard about it for a really long time, and, so that's really, I want to say it was probably, the first time that I heard about Attack on Titan, I was like, this is that thing that I keep seeing people talk about, was right around the time that Eren is revealed to be a shifter, because I saw people just going nuts on Facebook and stuff. And then to answer your second question, no. At no point did I think I was going to be a character on the show. I did not. I thought at best I would get to do Walla, scream, die, and get eaten, and that'd just be it. So to get to be Connie, who is a character that if I had watched the show as a fan, Connie would have hands down been my favorite character. To be able to play that character is just phenomenal, and no one will ever be more surprised about it than I am. So there you go.
So okay, Slayer asked this question, and we kind of got touched on this earlier. And you said it was the female Titan.
Mm-hmm.
in the trees. But what is your favorite and least favorite character in SNK?
Okay. Well, like I said, my favorite character would have been Connie, and this followed by the female Titan.
Right.
My least favorite character. My least favorite character might actually be Mikasa, because like she's that character that is just so good in the show that you're like, man, she's so good, you know, and she just sort of overshadows some of the other characters sometimes, and so sometimes I'm like, man, I wish somebody else could kill a Titan, but I mean, I really don't have a least favorite character. It's only, if anything, it's only just because she's that good. Do people? I gotta ask. Do people ship like Mikasa Levi? Because that seems like a thing people would ship. I just don't know.
We'll find out here in a second. Yes, that's a thing. Yes.
Okay, because like when I watched the show, and as soon as like they showed up together in that female Titan arc in the trees, I was like, oh, I see what's happening. Like I can feel the internet forming that. So,
Captain Fabulous. I know this is sad. This is like really, really sad. Let me try and ask this. What if Sasha and Connie died together and made a joke out of it?
I think they would make a joke out of it. Like, what joke do I think they would make, though? That's the question. Oh, I feel like I want to come up with a really good potato pun, and I can't think of one at all. Let me think on it. I'll come back to it if I can think of something.
Okay.
But I do think they would make a joke at the end. I think they would have to, you know, like, so.
Levi and Aaron is a thing, and it's weird. How do you feel about it from Butthead?
Well, Butthead. I mean, I do think it's weird, I guess. I mean, not... I think it's just weird because of the way that their relationship is, where, you know, Levi is sort of a superior to Aaron, that, like, that just goes into weird territory, you know, and it's like, I'm sure some people are really into that. It's not something I really need to go into, so.
Do you think how Aaron swears all of his vengeance against the Titans is a bit cliche from Sassy?
I mean...
I know that that's not your character.
I don't think... cliche is such a hard word, right? It's such a thing that's difficult to say. It's like when you... I remember once I showed Back to the Future to someone for the first time, and they saw it, and they were like, this movie's really cliche. And I was like, you need to pump your brakes. Because the entire reason that those themes and such are cliche is because Back to the Future was one of the first things that did it this way. Mm-hmm. And then everything else kind of, like, copied it. So it's like, you can't really call it cliche in that case because it was the thing, you know? So, and don't talk about Back to the Future that way. It's beautiful. But the thing about cliche stories is that a lot of the times they work, you know, and Aaron's desire to kill all the Titans is, I don't think it's unjustified, you know, so if you want to talk about it being a cliche story in that way, I mean, I guess maybe, but at the same time, I don't think it's unnecessary of the story. So...
Well, what I do find funny about that is just that, you know, he swears his vengeance upon Titans and then he actually becomes a Titan himself.
Yeah, well, that is actually one of the things that I think makes it that makes the story stronger, is because okay, I know I was trying to like avoid spoilers and stuff. I'm going to give you guys a Marvel spoiler if you guys don't know it. Just in recent years, they introduced the Red Hulk, and the Red Hulk is actually General Ross, who is the military character who has pursued Bruce Banner as the Hulk for pretty much the entire duration of the comic book series. And I love that version of the story because it made General Ross become the monster that he so hates. And so to have that sort of same thing in Attack on Titan, I think is very good, in that Eren hates the Titans, but he becomes a Titan to stand against them. And I think that's narratively very interesting. So.
Let me refine this question because it's shot up since then. Lemon, orange, lime. This is going back upon sprinkles and all this other stuff. How often do you guys talk about chipping?
Not very much. It's not, especially in the professional moments when we're recording and such. It's not just something that we just sort of like in the middle of lines, like, "Hey, what do you think about this couple?" Like, and then I get Mike's heartfelt opinions on any relationship that may or may not happen in the series. So it's not something that we talk about a lot. It's actually almost kind of funny for Felicia to have ever mentioned it to me that one time, because it's the only instance, I think, that I've ever seen shipping actually come up in something. So,
we're here at this no question zone again. So, unless there are 30 viewers. Okay, there we go. Sassy, what is one thing that you really hope doesn't happen to Connie?
One thing that I really hope doesn't happen to Connie. Well, I hope he doesn't die, unless it's epic. I don't want to see Connie be broken as a character. You know what I mean? I like that Connie always stands as this relatable, and even when he's scared, makes the right choices and stands up with his friends. That I do not want to see him get into a scene where it breaks him, and then he can't handle that he can't handle the moments or the things that are coming, and that he doesn't stand up for the people that he cares about. So I want to see Connie continue to stand and make the right choices. So that's my answer.
Black Butler asks, do you think other voice actors from Attack on Titan ship Sprinkles?
I mean, I guess I know a lot of people watched it, so I'm sure there's some. I mean, if they do, they haven't come out and told me, so maybe, I guess.
We know that you've said over and over and over again that you just go with the flow if it came with Connie. Mm-hmm. But Captain Fabulous asked, would you be more sad if Connie died or if Sasha died and he lost all of his enthusiasm and stopped acting well like Connie?
Well, if Connie died, he's definitely going to stop acting like Connie. I think that's kind of a given. But if Sasha died and they went into that story realm where they were going to pair those two characters, and it did emotionally, like, crush or cripple Connie, then I think it would make for a good story, but I think it would only make for a really good story if Connie then came out of it. and continued to fight afterwards. So that's... if there were a period where he stopped being like himself and then came back, and sort of found himself again and found reason to continue fighting, then I think it would be a great story. And in that case, I could take that happening. So, yes, there you go.
He also said, what if he brought food to Sasha's grave if she had died? I think that was supposed to be meant as a joke.
Well, I mean, she would probably appreciate the food more than, like, flowers, so
yeah.
I could understand it. I don't know.
Hold up. Trying to pre-screen this question here first, because I just saw one word as like, what? Okay. Butthead asks, he saw this in a comic of Connie, and he thought he had a tampon up his nose and didn't know what it was. I feel like this is actually something Connie would do. Do you think so?
Okay. I feel like that's making a direct reference to an Amanda Bynes movie.
I'm thinking it is.
Because I know that happens in that one where she has to pretend she's a guy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I guess it's... you could probably get Connie to do that. Like, yes. I think Connie would, and then later someone would be like, do you know what that's for? And Connie'd be like, oh. But, yeah, there you go.
Sassy asks, do you hope that they go more into depth about Connie's backstory, like where he came from,
etc.? Yes, I do. Because, like, I keep saying this. I'm a little bit aware of what happens in the manga, and I know that we go into some interesting territory for Connie and his relationship with his family, and stuff like that. And I would love to see those elements of him explored. Just because just because it's those sorts of elements, really humanize fictional characters for us, and then we get more attached to them. So I would like to see those sorts of things explored. So.
Attack on Black Butler asks, do you watch reality TV like The Walking Dead and such? And if you do, what are they?
Man, I don't watch a lot. Surprise, I've been watching Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's an okay show. I think it has its ups and downs. But I haven't yet seen Walking Dead. But I should. And I haven't seen it yet. Man, it's funny that you say reality TV. Because I don't think of those shows as reality TV. But I did work in reality TV for a little while. Before I moved out here to pursue voiceover. And I got to work on Toddlers and Tiaras and some other shows, and man, they're an experience.
I saw it on your IMDb.
Yeah, it's a good time.
And I was afraid to ask.
Oh no, it's fine. It happened. I mean, it's not like I'm going to say it didn't happen. One of my favorite things, though, that I learned from working in reality TV was one of the directors for one of the shows that I was working on. I will not say the name of the director or the show, but the director gave me this piece of advice, and it was, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And I was like, man, is that not just the perfect, metaphor for reality TV? So, because that's exactly the case. And so, yeah, that was working, behind the camera on reality TV was a weird experience. So
people are imagining Connie being on Toddlers and Tiaras.
All I have to say about that thought is he would win. So that's all there is to it.
Captain Fabulous says or asks, do you think Connie's buzz cut makes him more aerodynamic?
Yeah, I do. I think it's all strategy. You know, he wanted to get into the top 10. He made it to number 8, and it was all about the haircut. You know, he wanted to get to the top. He wanted to look good doing it. So there you go, buzz cut.
James Brown Jr. VA asks, or wants to know if you've seen The Winter Soldier yet.
Yes, I have. I saw it, what, a week ago, I guess? It was the Saturday right after it came out, I saw it. And I actually went and saw it with Micah Solisad and Afia Yu. And I really liked it. Captain America is has always been one of my favorite comic books. And I actually got to do work on it when I was an intern at Marvel. And which was a huge, exciting honor for me, being such a fan. And the Winter Soldier story that the Winter Soldier movie took from was just an absolutely excellent comic, and I was very, very pleased with the film. So.
Kitten is asking now, who has the least aerodynamic hair? It's the face palm for me.
Least aerodynamic hair. Well, it's definitely not Chavez, because he's the only one that's more aerodynamic than Connie. Man, let me think about it. I'm trying to think. Maybe Krista? Maybe Krista. But that's kind of a tough call, because Mikasa cuts her hair, so she's better. Armin's hair is not that long. Annie keeps her hair up. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Krista, because I think hers is the longest. So.
Captain Fabulous asks, what if Connie was Kanye West, but nothing else was different?
Well, then he'd be Kanye Springer. So.
Let's see. Let me see. Attack on Black Butler asks, what did you think of the Avengers?
I liked the Avengers. I thought it was a good film. I thought it brought everybody together well. It sort of, I think it gave greater conflict between the heroes to each other than we see normally in the comics on a daily basis, but I think that was necessary in the first outing of them as a team. So, I mean, I liked the Avengers movie a lot. Look forward to the sequel, and yeah, I thought it was good. Good fun.
So, if there's any other questions you guys would like to ask Clifford, we've actually gone, well, it's about, what, 2 hours? An hour?
Yeah, a little over 2 hours now.
A little over 2 hours? Did you, RLK Onigyu asked, did you saw Scarily Witch with Quicksilver at the end of the Winter Soldier?
Yes, I did. I saw the Scarlet Witch and the Winter Soldier. Fun. Let me give a quick admission here. Is I have a really bad habit of calling the Black Widow in this Avengers United film franchise the Scarlet Witch, because the Black Widow is played by Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
And I always catch myself like, oh, I'm such an idiot, and because I know that's wrong. But so now I'm sure I'm going to get really confused. Like when I'm telling a story, I'm totally going to be like, well, you know, when the Scarlet Witch, no, when Scarlet, never mind. It's just, that's what it's going to be.
Rayao asked if you could switch bodies with one of your fellow voice actors for 12 hours, who would it be?
It's a terrifying question. If I could trade
Hold
bodies...
up. Before you say anything, mind you, this is going to be put up on YouTube later.
I know. I'm totally keeping that in mind. Oh, man. That is a terrifying question, and I don't know that I have an answer for it. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I really have no idea. I'm trying to even think of an answer that I think I could play off as being really funny, and like, I just feel like this question goes into that territory where I'm going to say something that's like a little bit too creepy, and so I'm just not. I'm not gonna come up with something. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me.
If you could be Connie for a day, what would you do?
If I could become Connie for a day, what would I do? Well, I'm sure my day would start off with me shaving my head to make sure I keep my aerodynamic tendencies. And then I would I would probably have to like tend to the horses and stuff, being part of the Scouting Legion, and then hope that I don't get eaten by titans. And then I think I would go out of my way to put like whoopee cushions on everybody's chairs, you know, just to lighten the mood. And I think those are the things I would try and do if I were Connie. So.
Lemon Orange Lime wants to know if you can please say something as Connie. I don't know, maybe something related to Marvel or Pokemon.
Let me think. It's kind of funny that you ask it like that, because, like I said, Connie's voice is so my normal voice,
right,
that I mean, you've pretty much already heard Connie say a lot of things about Marvel and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Go Sandile! There you go. That's my Connie playing Pokemon sort of thing.
So. James Brown Jr. VA. I'm sure that later on, but he wants to know. He's working towards becoming a professional voice actor. And do you mind if he can connect with you on Facebook or LinkedIn?
I don't have a LinkedIn. Honestly, I'm pretty good about, like, okay, let me say it this way. I try to be very good about interacting with people online and stuff. So, I mean, I have, like, a voice actor page on Facebook that's just Clifford Chapin voice actor, that anybody who wants to talk to me about those sorts of things, you are more than welcome to try and contact me via that. I mean, I think you can attest to it.
Yeah.
I do eventually reply. I was a little bit slow this past week, and I apologize for that.
No worries, you're all good.
I do. I try to interact a lot on there. So I mean, those are the best way. That's the best way. That or Twitter. I'm on Twitter also. Those are the best ways to connect with me if you want to try to. So.
And Captain Fabulous is just hitting it one after another. If you met Connie in real life, what would you do with him?
Look at girls? I don't know. That's probably a really bad answer. I don't know. I don't know that we would have a lot that we could do in those days, in the time frame that Attack on Titan takes place. But I mean, I would like to think that Connie and I would hang out and just have a lot of fun making really bad jokes.
Right.
So, I think probably about that much. So.
Kitten, and Attack on Butler are like, of all things, of course he would look at girls, shave each other's heads.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Captain Fabulous also asked, what is the laziest thing you have ever done?
I mean, I don't know. Like, that's kind of, man, you guys are asking some tough questions. I don't know. It's probably nothing any more lazy than anyone else. I think there was probably one day that I laid in bed, like, almost all day, just watching TV, because everybody needs one of those days sometime, right? And that's probably it. So it's probably that one where you're like, today I'm gonna have a really lazy day, and I'm gonna just lay in my bed and watch cartoons. So that, I guess.
Sassy wants to know, has being a voice actor changed your personality at all because of all the different characters you've had to voice?
Has being a voice actor changed my personality at all because of all the characters I've had to voice? No, I don't believe so. And I want to have a level of faith in that, because a lot of my friends that I talk to, that I've known for very many years, they've all said to me, they're like, that I'm exactly the same as I've always was, which is good, because I really don't want to change. I like who I am. I don't think any of my characters have really changed me, but sometimes my characters have a tendency to make me realize things that I have thought or felt that that I never had the ability to put into words. And like Kaito was like that in Robotics Notes, where he has this one monologue in the series where he's trying to inspire a character to stand up and show the world that she is special, and that she doesn't need to live in anyone's shadow. And we've always had, everybody has a friend like that, right? That you want to see succeed and be, for the world to realize how wonderful this person is. And I think in that monologue, Kaito says, oh, there's a screaming child. Sorry. I think Kaito says in that moment things that I, in those instances, wish I could have said. So if I don't think they've actually changed me as a person, but they've made me more aware of the things that I want to, the things that I wish I could say in ways I can say them.
Right.
So I hope that answers the question.
Rayout wants to know, what makes a good character death?
Like the one that I described earlier. I mean, what makes a good character death? I mean, any good character death is going to be one that you feel something for, that that when the character dies, that they died for a reason, and it strengthens the story. And I mean, those are the elements of it. I can't really describe to you like a character's death that I think would be awesome without either citing one that has happened or like the one that I described earlier, where if Connie were to die, I hope it goes out like that, or something like that. Yeah, I think any death of a character that is necessary is a good, but strengthens the story or strengthens the characters is a good character death, for as sad as any character death is. So.
Tech on Black Butler asked, if you had to pick a fictional anime universe to live in, where would you go?
That's a tough question because all my favorite ones are like the worst ones. It's like, man, I wouldn't want to live in the Evangelion world. That world would be terrible.
I wouldn't want to live on an Attack on Titan world because there's a risk of being eaten.
Right. It's like, I don't want to live in Attack on Titan. I don't want to live in Dragon Ball when somebody like Majin Buu is going to come around and just kill us all, like just a flick of his finger. Like, man, I would want to live in a fun world that wouldn't kill me. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because I feel like I would pick a really boring world. You know, like I'd pick like, oh, I want to live in the world of the girl who leapt through time because it's normal unless you can have the ability to jump through time. But
right.
So I don't know. None where I can die any worse than I can already die in the real world. Please and thank you.
Have you ever experienced yourself talking like Connie after recording lines?
Yeah. When you get into the rhythm of a character and then you're done with the character, like as you're like leaving, it sometimes gets hard to not talk like the character. I did this with Takiyanagi and I do this with Connie, because Takiyanagi being a really proper, like villainish role, that's villainish, not vanillish, the Pokemon. He has an arrogance about him that he speaks very properly, and every letter is in every word. And that was a really hard, it was a really hard character in itself also, because I had a really bad habit of saying like your instead of your, or ta instead of tu. And so there would be plenty of times that we were recording that, and Joel would be like, that's your read, don't say your. And I'm like, oh man, you know, and have to do the whole line again.
Right.
So then when you finally get in that rhythm and you walk out of the session, you're still out there talking to everyone with G's on the end of every ing of a word, you know, and everything is proper. Connie, because we focus so much on making his speech pattern lazy, that there were times that I'd walk out of a session and be like, oh no, I gotta fix my grammar, I'm speaking poorly. And because I kind of am in a middle ground between the two.
Right.
And so yes, there were a few times where I'd walk out and I'm talking in the way the character speaks, not necessarily like I said, it's nothing about the voice because it's my voice, but yes, sometimes.
So far from what I can tell in the chat, it looks like you have a fan group following of females.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, there are worse things, right? Like, I mean, it'd be bad to have a fan following of like rabid raccoons. So, I mean, I'm totally okay with fangirls. That's fine. So,
Attack on Black Butler said that it would be cool to hear him talk like Connie randomly.
You kind of have, I promise you. Yeah. So.
By the way,
Huh?
Sheeny says, I am in fact a rabid raccoon.
Oh, well then. Sheeny, you are just an overachiever. And you might want to get that looked at.
But no, congratulations on your new role on Bento.
Oh, thank you very much.
I don't know if you saw that. I was like, oh wow, congratulations earlier.
I did see that. I made sure to like your comment.
Awesome.
I promise you all, if you've ever like contacted me and I've ignored you, I promise you it wasn't intentional. I do try to, in some way, shape, or form, acknowledge the people who communicate with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shiny, you are an overachiever. Not your name is not Sheeny. Shiny. So.
I read it as it looks. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm with you, Shiny. It's okay. I'm with you. Everybody mispronounces my last name as Chapin, but my last name is Chapin. So I'm with you. I totally feel you. Okay.
Hey, everybody pronounces my name wrong too, so we're all on the same boat.
Yeah, it's the worst, isn't it? It's just the worst. I don't remember what I was talking about.
You were talking about.
Interacting with everyone.
Yes.
Yes. If anybody's ever like messaged me and I didn't reply to you or like your thing or favorite your thing or retweet your thing, I promise you it was not intentional. I do try to interact with everyone who tries to interact with me. So.
Rayout asks, I'm guessing that they didn't get in until the very end of this, but I don't know if you get to record with people during a show, but has there been a voice that you've heard? Stop talking, guys, I can't read the comment. I don't know if you get to record with people during a show, but has there been a voice that you've heard and have met the person was like, wait, was that you? It's a wordy question.
The first time that Greeley and I met, we kind of had that moment, because I'd actually heard from Mike that when Greeley got to the scenes of Connie being with Mikasa and Armin, Greeley was like cracking up, listening to me as Connie, and so we had a moment where I was like, "You're Armin," and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "I'm Connie," and he's like, "Oh, dude!" And so we had this moment where we're like, "You're so good as your character," and we had that moment of sort of like, be like, "It's so cool to meet you." So that's about the closest, and that was cool because it went both ways in it. Because I think Greeley's performance as Armin is fantastic, and he apparently thinks I'm very funny as Connie, and so that was good.
Captain Fabulous asked, how do you think the characters in Attack on Titan would react to a really good horror movie?
They live in a horror movie. I don't think they'd think any horror movie was good, because they're like, this is so fake. They just wouldn't think anything was legit in that. So.
Maury asked, not sure if asked, but who did you bond with more while working on SNK?
Who did I bond with more while working on SNK? Or AOT? Depending on your preference. Tough call. Greeley was one because I've run into Greeley since then, and I don't know if Greeley knew who I was before, and I had a decent sense of who he was. So Greeley is one. Mike, I guess, because I'd done Walla and such for things that Mike was working on before, but I'd never been cast by him as like a character.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess them. Man, I'm trying to think. Who else? Those are probably the two biggest, and Greeley and I had the most, just on the same level kind of conversation, because my conversations with Mike are always that of the actor and the director, even though Mike is also one of the actors. So to be able to talk to one of the other actors as just another actor, I guess it would be Greeley.
Right.
So, yeah.
Attack on Black Butler. Do you just see other voice actors when you go out to places like the grocery store, etc.?
Typically, no. And what's funny about that is the only voice actors I've ever run into at a store that I didn't know they were going to be there was Micah Solisad and Afia Yu, which is hysterical because I was actually text messaging with them, and then I happened to just run into them in the store. And not knowing they were in the store, not knowing I was going to go to that store, it was like I was texting with Micah, and then I just happened to turn down an aisle, and Micah was there. And it was like, oh, what's up? You know, so then we kind of just continued the conversation in person. And then we all went and got lunch. So it was like, all right, well, it worked out. So that is the only instance I can think of where I actually ran into any other voice actors in public that
weren't planned.
That was not it was not intentional. So yeah.
So, okay, guys, it is almost it's almost 7:45. I'm gonna say about 10 more questions. If they're really really good ones, if they're like silly ones, then no, we're gonna pass. But 10 or 3 more questions, depending upon how I feel and how Cliff feels about it.
10 or 3. 10 or 3. Nowhere in between. So make them good.
Exactly. But no, I mean, I'm looking forward to. Yeah, people are judging me now. I feel bad. It's only been 3 hours, almost 3 hours.
It's almost been 3 hours. So we're all a little less sane than we were when we began.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm sitting here reading not enough time. But no, I'm excited to see Toonami air Attack on Titan coming up next month and seeing
T-minus 2 weeks.
Yep. So people are asking you, do you have a Twitter?
Yes, I do. I am on Twitter at Clifford Chapin, so at CliffordChapin. You can follow me there, and then I also have a Facebook page, which is Clifford Chapin Voice Actor. Really, really easy to find, and like I said, I do try to interact with everyone who interacts with me, and I do try to get back to you all. I promise. Sometimes I don't get to, and I apologize if I don't. It's not personal. So those are the places.
Hey, like I said, I mean, in my original post for you, I was like, I know as being in your line of work, it must be hectic, crazy, busy.
Uh-oh.
So you just take your time in responding. Oh, Evie, I am so sorry. I think I just pissed off a lot of people.
We didn't get 10 or 3 questions.
I know, right?
Man, my typing is being really bad right now, and I don't know if it's just that my computer's lagging following up, but I'm trying to put in my Twitter and Facebook information to the chat, and I'm apparently typoing.
Oh, no, trust me, Chim has been doing a little bit worse.
Yeah, so I can't, and I'm sorry, guys. I promise I tried to get everything typed right, and it just did not respond. I apologize.
A mini legion of fangirls just felt like you. Don't look at the Twitter I followed you on. Nope.
And so anyway, so yeah,
there was something about something I don't remember. They ran out of questions, it looks like. If you guys have any questions at all, they just like hearing you talk, evidently.
Oh, well, I do that. I do that all the time, mostly to other people's dismay. So, you're all very lucky if you like hearing me talk. So.
I'm actually you're okay. To be honest, I'd have to be very, very frank with you.
Okay.
You are the first voice actor that has actually said yes to an interview with me.
Okay.
And has followed through with it.
Oh, okay. That makes me kind of sad.
No. I am actually
not for me. It doesn't make me sad for me. It makes me feel sad.
Well, and you've been mentioning one person a lot lately, Josh or John.
Josh Greeley?
Yeah. I just got today, out of all days, he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to have an interview with you. Let's do it." So that was one. Tia Ballard is another.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get Mika so bad, but then I'm like afraid. Is he going to say yes? Is he going to say no?
Who, Micah Solisad?
Yeah.
Oh, Micah is one of the nicest guys.
I know he is. For the past 3 times at Mini-Acon,
mm-hmm.
like, I've met with him and talked with him, and he is just, like, straight on awesome. And half the stories that you say about him is like, yeah, I could see that happening in real life.
Yeah. I mean, I would not be intimidated by Micah. I mean, like, as a person, Micah is a very, very...
No, I wasn't intimidated by that. I was just like, would he be able to fit in an interview in his busy schedule?
Well, that's why I'm saying don't be intimidated to ask him. I can't. I obviously can't speak for him, but
right.
He's done it in the past, so I think I think it's worth asking him at least.
Mind you, this little bit of interview fodder is just going to be cut out because it just takes away from the point.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm still waiting for more questions from you guys. Like, people are asking if you want to how do you feel about cosplaying? Would you consider cosplaying?
I mean, I think cosplay is a cool thing that people do, and it allows them to express their fandom and the things that they enjoy. I mean, me for cosplay. It's like when I was a kid and I did Halloween, right? Like, I was like that kid that I needed like the coolest costume, and it's like homemade, and it's way too much effort, and so I'm kind of afraid of opening the lid on that box, you know. But I mean, if I ever did cosplay, it's hard because, like, on the one hand, I feel like I should cosplay as like a character I voice, and then on the other hand, I'm like, but I want to cosplay Spider-Man, you know. So like, you know, so it's me cosplaying. Probably not the best idea because I just don't know, like, how much of the crazy I want to let out of the body that is the bottle that is my body. But I mean, I think it's cool that people do it. So.
Kitten asked, what was your favorite canon line of Connie's? Like, what was one of the sayings that he said that was one of your favorite lines to say?
My favorite line that Connie says is actually his first line when he introduces himself, and I think it's that was for several reasons, because it's obviously the first line I say, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I did not know anything about the character, and when Mike called me in, having not auditioned for the character, I didn't really know anything about him. We listened to it in Japanese. I said the line, and then Mike was like, holy crap, you sound just like the Japanese actor. And so it was kind of a cool moment because then they did this thing where they looped my recording right after the Japanese recording. Right. So I got to hear them back to back. And the way that I do like my yelling and stuff sounds a lot like the seiyus. And so that's probably my favorite line that I ever think about that Connie said is his first one. And I would say it for all of you, but being that the Toonami premiere is so close, I really don't want to take away the moment of hearing it for the first time. So I'm not going to say it right now. And I encourage you to all watch it on Toonami. And then you're going to hear it and go, that's Cliff's favorite line! And you'll be right. So.
Are you going to go to, Attack on Black Butler says, are you going to go to some kind of party for the Toonami premiere?
I don't know of any happening. I mean, I don't know. I might. I've thought about maybe inviting some of my friends over for us to watch it, but there's also an element of that I'm like, you know, not a lot of my friends got cast in big parts and stuff, and especially in those episodes, that like, I don't want to call together all my friends to be like, hey guys, watch me on TV, you know, like, because then I kind of just feel like I'd be like a jerk, but like, I don't know, I'm going back and forth on it if I want to call my friends over and stuff, or if I just want to like watch it by myself and then just be like, yay, and then just be done. So I haven't decided yet. I don't know.
Knowing me, I'll be so pumped to watch it, but then I'll miss it and cry a little.
Don't cry. Don't cry. It's gonna be on DVD and Blu-ray. It's fine.
So while I'm waiting for more questions from our viewers, if I put this copy out on YouTube, do you want me to send you a link?
Yeah, sure. I'll probably post about it on like my Facebook and stuff. So
well, yeah, because I mean, every time that we've closed, hopefully, fingers crossed, the copy has been saving to livestream in itself.
Oh, I see.
So that way, if you do decide to post the live stream link, I mean, they can go there and listen, but Chim wants to know if there will be bloopers.
Of what? Of Attack on Titan or of this live stream?
I don't know.
Because I don't know if there were a lot of bloopers in this live stream other than times that we lost the call.
I know, right?
I don't think there are going to be I don't think there's going to be bloopers for Attack on Titan. Maybe? I don't think I ever said anything that was really okay, the funniest thing I probably ever said that was not in session was I was like, Connie's head isn't the only thing that's shaved. But I don't think that was ever recorded. And I was definitely talking about his armpits. So, get your minds out of the gutter, people. But,
just so you know, when you said that, I facepalmed so hard.
That's okay. That's okay. That's the appropriate reaction. He just wants to be aerodynamic. So I don't know about a lot of bloopers. I mean, maybe some of the other actors did bloopers, but I don't think I ever really did. So, yeah.
I had a question for you. That my grandmother came in here and asked me for her cell phone, so I've lost it.
Oh no.
Bye, Tim. Bye, Enchanted.
Bye, everybody.
So, I guess... Oh, here we go. Jive Animation. Ammunition. If you had a choice, which other Attack on Titan character would you want to voice act and why? I think you've already said that, didn't you?
Well, I said about it in robotics, and it's not specifically in Attack on Titan.
There you go.
I mean, man, a character other than Connie in Attack on Titan. I don't know. That's a tough one because in a lot of the similar ways that Kaito is so personal, and I would never want to voice another character otherwise. I don't know if there's another character that I would want to voice in Attack on Titan. Like even the thought of being like Eren, where it's like you are the main guy and there's a lot of notoriety that comes with that. I don't think I would choose to be Eren over being Connie now that I know the characters. Like, it's even one of the things about my audition where I'm like, man, I wish I had auditioned for Connie instead of Eren. But I mean, it not to obviously degrade anything, it all worked out fine. I'm totally okay with it. But I kind of wish I had auditioned for Connie just for the sake of that. I do love that character so much. But if I could voice another character, I don't know. I think Armin would probably be a fun character. I'm trying to think of some of the others that are... Marco would be a good character to voice because of what happens with Marco. Probably... Yeah.
Voice the female Titan.
Voice the female Titan. Yeah, let's go with that. I would voice the female Titan. No. Yeah.
They want to know about Austin, though.
What about Austin? I've only met Austin a few times. I don't know him very well. But he's cool. He's been cool every time I've ever met him. So that's really all I can say about Austin.
Shiny's like drat, because she was originally the one who was like, tell us about Austin, though.
I'm sorry, Shiny.
Please forgive me if I say this wrong. Ein. How long is it typically between your roles? What else do you do in the meantime?
That there is no typically for that answer. It varies, just wildly. When I did Good Luck Girl as Subuki, Robotics Notes was the next audition. And I got it, and then that was 2 weeks later,
right.
Or something like that. I mean, it was not far apart. And then we recorded that for a while, and then I want to say it was like, I mean, maybe a few months before I did the next thing. You know, it just it changes. There is no... This is how long it typically is between them. So,
right.
It's just kind of a luck of the draw and just how lucky you are. So.
Well, guys, I'm going to take one more official final question. It is 8 o'clock, and that means we have been rolling this for 3 hours. So, if you have a meaningful, detailed question, please... speak so now, or forever hold your peace. Because I don't know about you, Cliff, but I'm getting kind of hungry.
I am.
Do you have any theories about the Titans? I know that's a short question.
Do I have any theories about the Titans? I mean, no, I don't have any theories about... I mean, not really. I have theories about people who I'm like, that one's gonna be a Titan. And I don't know that. You know, I'm just like, oh. But, I don't really have a theory about the Titans. Because I don't I don't think the series gives us a lot of information to form theories on them yet, personally. James Brown Jr. VA. Funny story about chopsticks and forks. My dad came and visited me last summer, and we went out to a Chinese restaurant that's out here, and I was eating my food with chopsticks, and my dad was eating with fork. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're eating your food with chopsticks?" And I was like, "I eat everything with chopsticks." And he goes, "You ate meatloaf the other night with chopsticks?" And I went, "I ate cereal with chopsticks." And my dad just had this pause of silence, and he just goes, "You liar." And it was so there you go. That's the answer to chopsticks or fork. Usually fork, but if opportunity, chopsticks. I ate with chopsticks last night, actually. So.
You gotta know you didn't.
So.
Oh my god. Okay, guys. So, with this being said, Cliff, it has been a wonderful talking with you and chatting with you.
I had a lot of fun. I'm glad I could get to do this with you guys, and all you guys asking questions and coming out and listening to me ramble, everything. So.
Hopefully, if they're gonna have another mini Acon next year, I don't know if they are or not. Hopefully you'll be on a panel, and hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more in person. But
yeah, I mean, I crashed the last one. Why wouldn't I do it again?
Hey, you crashed, and I can't remember who the director is of Fairy Tale, but he crashed.
Tyler Walker.
Another person crashed with him. We had so many people crashing Mini Acon. It was like there was cracks everywhere.
So,
and people are saying, "Thank you so much, my life is complete." And I would listen to you for infinity amount of hours, and
I don't even know if I could talk for that much hours, guys. But
and people are saying that you should go crash things. No.
Well, yeah, like I said, if they're not local, it's going to be really hard for me to crash them. But
Are you going to crash Acon?
Maybe. There was yesterday I was with some friends, and there was some talks about Acon. So I might be at Acon, but that remains to be seen at this point. We will see. So that's not really an answer, but that is the answer. I promise you, it's not decided. So.
Well, like I said before, I'm glad that I got a chance to sit down and talk with you. Hopefully, later on down the road, when you become more and more roles and famous, and people your fangirls swoon over you and tell me and yell at me to have another interview. Later on down the road, we'll sit down and do this all over again. Hopefully, maybe it could be face to face. So.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll have to see what happens, and I promise that I will reply to the messages as quickly as I can, and hopefully with better fashion than I did this past week as we were trying to set this up.
Sassy kitten, let's have another interview.
So, everybody listening, thank you for nerding out with me for 3 hours. So, I hope you all enjoyed it. So.
Alright, well, as a closer, thank you guys. This has been an Anime Twist interview. Where you'll be able to find this interview later would be on YouTube, and you can also find it later on our Facebook page, Facebook/AnimeTwist1, and then there's also our website. So, without further ado, have a good night, guys, and a happy Easter.
Good night, everybody.